Nasilian from English Unlimited, as you know, and this is Meri, the course director for the postgraduate certificate in education from Leeds Beckett University. So Meri, do you want to introduce yourself to anybody who's going to watch?
Hi everyone, and thank you for your interest in our PGCE online. I am Meri Nasilian and I'm the course director, so it's my responsibility to organise the course and plan the modules, work with the students, welcome you to our course. In terms of PGCE, a little bit of quick information that it's a general PGCE, so we do not have primary, secondary divisions. However, our content does cover all of them. So you will be exposed to materials that talk about primary or secondary. Even we do have a lot of applicants who work in the kindergarten setting. So we try to encompass a wide range of aspects that cover that PGCE element, but it's a very much a general academic PGCE, which means that we do not grant QTS. So if you're interested in doing your QTS, this is not the course for you. However, you can do the course and then do your QTS afterwards as assessment only. But I know that a lot of our international applicants already have a QTS and they now just need this PGCE element. So it's general in a way that it targets a lot of students' interests, a lot of their needs, a lot of their career aspirations. So I'm sure if this is of interest to you, then you will find the content quite relevant because we do try to cover and encompass a lot of PGCE aspects and elements within it. In terms of content and in terms of flexibility, I would say that it's quite flexible and it is 100% online. You are not expected to be at any point anywhere really. So there's no mandatory attendance or participation element, which means that you can have your full-time jobs or your voluntary jobs, your part-time positions, whatever your situation or your setting is, and your commitment can be to PGCE can be on a very flexible mode because it's entirely taught online through distance learning.
That's fantastic. That's really, really good. A lot of our students ask that question about, oh, do we have to do any exams? Is there any practical work involved? We want to try and specify that it is 100% online. There's 3 modules to complete, and each module requires you to finish with an assignment around 4,000 words.
Yeah,
are you able to explain a little bit more about each module?
Yeah, absolutely. We don't have any exams. It's right. Only assessments, and you are only assessed on one assignment. So we only have a summative assessment. We don't have formative assessments or pre-assessment, just one summative assessment.
Okay.
So we do have 3 modules. First, we start with professional values and practice. We start sometime end of September, October, and we finish around November. So it's called professional values and practice. This is everything kind of to welcome you to profession, to tell you what we mean by teacher standards, what it means to be a teacher, what we mean by teacher dilemmas, safeguarding, what we mean by just teaching. And this is where you think about your settings, your students, your colleagues, the school that you are working in, the policy, and the assignment will ask you, it's a portfolio encompassing comprising of up to 4,000 words, like equivalent of 4,000 words, okay. where you talk about your professional values, you talk about your professional experience, and also you talk about the school policy of your interest in regards to your practice. So we ask you to do this comparative kind of exercise to look at the policy, any policy of your choice, for example, assessment, or behavior policy or uniform. A lot of students are interested in the uniform. We won't tell you what policy to choose. It's entirely your choice because this is your PGCE. It should be of interest to you and of use to you. And then we ask you to do this comparative exercise and see how actually what the policy says works in your practice. Does it work? Does it not work? Sometimes the policy says one thing, but it's merely impossible to do it in the classroom as a teacher, or the other way round. The teachers want to inform the policy, or some schools, especially international schools, do not really have policies to inform the teaching. but that's fine. You can talk about the importance of policy or what suggestions you would give to the school to put together a policy that will help the teachers. There are a lot of angles that you can look at for the assignment. And one thing to remember, and that's for all of the assignments, is that you are in charge of them. You get the support from the academic team, of course. However, it should be of something that you are interested in, that you are passionate about, but also something that will help you in your teaching. So when time comes for you to choose your assignment in terms of policy or what you want to focus on, make sure that it's relevant to your practice and it will help you afterwards when you finish your PGCE. And then assignment 2, which is module 2. We start module 2 right after module 1, and the deadline will be sometime in February.
Right.
So this is developing subject competence. Now that we have done the introduction to teaching and what it means to be a teacher and the dilemmas of a teacher, we then talk about your subjects, the ones that you teach in your schools, or the ones that you specialize in your school. Is it maths? Is it physics? Is it drama? Is it music? Is it the kindergarten setting? Is it Montessori curriculum? So this is your time to then think about, reflect about your subjects, the ones that you are currently have expertise in, or you are currently teaching in your settings, in your schools. The assignment at the end will ask you to talk about what you mean by effective pedagogy in your subject area. How do you understand what effective, what efficient pedagogy is, like teaching is, in your subject areas? So this module will then go very, very specific into your subject areas. Great. And then, of course, you will be given reading topics, guidance to help you. You're not just given the assignment. Everything during those 8 weeks before your assignment is due will prepare you in terms of content, in terms of exposure to certain theories, to certain elements, to certain criticality that will help you write your assignment. And also, this is a wonderful practice for you to think about if you want to progress your studies further to a master's degree. So you will get a little bit of in-depth exposure of what it means to be a researcher and a student and a teacher at the same time. So it's a fun module. Students really enjoy it. The assignment is quite alternative. You just do a digital post and a commentary. So it's not your standard like written format. You experiment with a little bit of alternative format. We give you a lot of those tools, a lot of examples, a lot of samples that you can choose from. And then you just present your studies either in an audio format if you want, or in a written format. The choice is yours. There is no preference at our end, whichever you are comfortable with. And of course, you will be given guidance throughout the way of submitting your assignment, or reading, or knowing about it, or the ethical aspect of it. So everything that you are asked to do, you're required to do in terms of your assignment, will always be supported beforehand with tutorials, with recorded materials, with lectures that everything is on the module page online. So you pass the assignments 50 and above, that's the scale, like you are scaled 100. That's the standard UK higher education one for all master's level students. 50 and above, you have passed the module.
Great, that's really good. And then I guess the overall score would be based on your 3 average scores, your 3 module average scores. Yeah, great. So with your module 3, school-based independent study, you mentioned that a part of the module is a voice commentary. How long would the voice commentary have to be?
And I would say on average, it's about 10 to 12 minutes. So that's the standard of the audio commentary. However, don't worry if it's 8 minutes or if it's 15 minutes or 20 minutes. As long as your assignment is of a good standard, you won't be penalized just because you have not met the word count. Your tutor, the marker, will never be counting the words. That's a rule that I adhere to, so don't worry. And you also have plus or minus 10%. That's always the leeway. So 4,000 word, but you have plus or minus 10% of it.
Great.
So it gives you a little bit of flexibility. And even if not, don't worry. If your assignment follows the requirements and the assignment brief, you won't just be marked down because only on the word count basis.
Oh, that's really good. Yeah, because a lot of students worry, 4,000 words, what if I go over? Does the references include in that? Does the content include in the word count? Yeah, a lot of students have asked that, but it's great to hear that you have that flexibility. They're not going to get penalized as long as they followed the module requirements and the assignment is
Absolutely.
up to standard.
Yeah. We do provide you with a template where it explicitly says what's included in the word count and what's not included. References are never included in a word count. Never.
Great.
References, appendices, abstract, all of that is never included in the word count. However, you are given templates. You are even given student examples as well of previous works, of previous course, to help you kind of guide you in terms of the language the students use or maybe topics to cover, just to give you a general idea. So if you follow those templates, or if you look at the assignment brief on the module page, everything will be provided to you. So you will know exactly what's included, what's not included, or what parts should be incorporated within the assignment.
That's fantastic. While we're talking about referencing, and many students ask, what is the reference style that Leeds Beckett University use?
It's Harvard. It's Harvard referencing, and there are plenty of materials in the library, our skills for learning, quote unquote. So those are all the guides that we provide to help you understand what we mean by Harvard referencing. There will also be academic professional skills tutorial where you will be provided examples, where you will be provided guidance about referencing in Harvard style. So don't worry, you will get a lot of content that's about academic writing, because we do take that seriously, and this is a master's level. So if this is the PGCE, this is a certificate program. However, this is still level 7. This is master's level. So you are required to meet the requirements of the understanding what it needs to write and think at level 7. So there will be a lot of content to help you. However, there is one aspect as well. If you have never used Harvard, but you've used another writing style, for example, APA. So Harvard is not a strict rule. However, if you will need then support about APA, our expertise is not in it. It's in Harvard. So all the resources and everything that you will be provided centrally from university don't cover any other writing style. They only cover Harvard. However, if you're very confident that you know how to write in any other writing style, absolutely, and you let your module leader know, or you are very confident, please use that. Just declare it so that the marker, the person who is marking your assignment, will be aware that you intentionally have not used Harvard. It's not that you've just used it the wrong way. Again, you have that autonomy to choose your writing style, but you can't expect the support on it because the Leeds Beckett support is on Harvard only.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So Meri, another common question we get from the international students, those who are not from the UK, what is the difference between a PGCE and a Masters in Education? If they are both a Masters, what is the main difference, apart from the tuition, of course? What is the difference between a postgraduate certificate in education and a Masters in Education?
It's all in the name. One is a certificate, the other one is a master's degree. And it's also about the number of credits. So PGCE normally has 60 credits, or majority of certificate programs are 60 credits. So is our PGCE, whereas masters require way more credits, like 180. You need to do, why is it that masters is more expensive than PGCE? It's because you do more credits, so you pay for more credits. The standard master's degree in the UK is always comprised of 180 credits. So you've already paid for your 60 credits of PGCE. You just apply them to your masters. It reduces from 180 to 120, which means that it's reduced timeline, You will be able to do it in a year or a bit longer with reduced fees. So that's an option that a lot of our students do.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So not only do you get, reduced fees, but I guess the workload is a little bit less because you're
Absolutely.
getting
Yeah, yeah.
module exemptions. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
really good.
absolutely, because you will get module exemptions.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
Really, really good to hear. So Mary, you are the course director for the Masters in Transformative Education. Are you able to
Mhm.
explain what are the main differences between the Masters in Education and Masters in Transformative Education?
Masters in Education sits with a different subject area in our School of Education. So in our School of Education, we have 3 subject areas. One is teacher education, like teacher training. The other one is interdisciplinary studies. And then there is ours, which is digital transformative education. So all our courses are entirely online, distance learning, flexible. They have their style, different academic team. So MA Transformative Education sits within our department, and that's why I am the course director for it. And MA Education has different structure of modules. So if you transfer your credit, for example, of your PGCE credit to MA Education, you will still be required to do a few taught modules and then a dissertation because their structure of MA Education is a bit different. If you do MA Transformative Education, you will only need to do the capstone because the capstone itself is 120 credits. Whereas in MA Education, they don't have that. There is different elements and then a dissertation of 60 credits. So it's all about the difference of how credits are, how modules are distributed per credit.
Okay, so they are very similar in that sense. So, I mean, if we can be, maybe we sound biased in this sense, but a
Mhm.
master's in transformative education, it's cheaper tuition. Obviously, it'd
Yes,
be a lot easier to convert your credits to the master's in transformative education.
yeah,
And obviously, you are also the course director, so you have the
yes,
very similar, course layout. So
yeah.
that one sounds
Yeah.
like a great course to go for.
It is, and we do have a lot of students starting this September that are our PGCE graduates. So
Great.
it's good that the course did entice them and they want to stay with us. They enjoyed the support given, the everything like the materials, the content, the team. So you will, of course, throughout your PGCE, you will hear from me about the progression opportunities. We do meetings to see who is interested, and then you can ask your questions. So don't worry, there will be a lot of information shared with you because I know that a lot of students are interested in progressing their studies. And if any of our courses like MA Transformative Education or Digital Pedagogy or Inclusive Practice are of interest to you, you can always chat to us about it. So
That's fantastic. So with an alumni, for example, they graduate their PGC, they're
mhm,
entitled to get the discount as well as the
mhm,
credits
yeah.
converted. Is there a deadline to do that? Do they have to do it straight after their PGC? Can they wait a couple of years?
Yeah, the general standard of higher education, or at least in the UK, is 5 years.
Okay,
So you
that's
do have 5 years to use your credits. However, if you decide even after 5 years to come back to us, it's fine. We will always accept you. Our students are always our students. It might be
great.
different if you want to go to another university and then convert your PGCEs with them. It might be a different conversation after 5 years if you do it. So always check with the institution how their process is. But if it's with us, the requirement is 5 years. But even if it's beyond that, we can always find a way to adjust that.
Yeah, that's perfect. And I think the last question we've got,
Mhm,
which I think we covered it earlier in the interview,
mhm.
the course intakes. So I know the PGC starts every September. We only have one take a year. Is that the
Yeah,
same with the masters?
all of them. Yeah, all
Yeah,
our courses only have September intake.
great.
Yeah.
No problem.
And one more thing, I know a lot of students will ask about this, is about the certificates, the online element, the distance learning, whether it says distance learning on the certificate or on your degrees. No, none of our courses will mention that it's a distance learning because it's still a university degree. It's an accredited UK higher education degree. It's just delivered online. So your certificate will not say distance learning. It will just say postgraduate certificate in education, Leeds Beckett University, or MA Transformative Education, Leeds Beckett University. That's all. There's no mention of online or distance learning. And I know that a lot of students ask about whether it says merit, pass, or distinction on the certificate. No, it's not. It does not mention any of that. However, your transcript will. So the certificate, the degree itself, is not classified as pass, merit, or distinction, but your transcript will include all of your grades and your final degree award, which is either distinction, pass, or merit. So
That's great.
yeah, so those
And even
are
in the transcripts, there's no sign of the words distance learning, online.
no, absolutely not.
Perfect. Yeah, that's one of the questions a lot of
Absolutely not.
students ask.
Yeah.
There's a lot of employers, you know, they're a bit worried if they go to an employer in the future. They're like, "Oh, you've done it online. It's not as worthy
Yeah.
as worthy
Yeah.
as a normal PhD."
It's
That's
it's
false.
an
Yeah,
absolute myth. Yeah, it's an
yeah,
absolute myth because it's still a accredited
yeah.
university degree. It's an academic university degree. You are taught by university staff. You get university credits. So all of that is in place. It's just delivered online because that's how the delivery mode is. So
Great.
that's the only difference.
Fantastic. And while we're talking about that as well, a lot of students ask me, what's the difference between the PGCE and an IPGCE? Obviously, the I must mean international.
Mhm.
And the research maybe you know more than me, the research that I went into is an IPGCE. They say it's you know, for an international standard outside of the UK, whereas a PGCE would be more focused for the UK side of education.
More or less, yes. We did a bit of needs analysis a few years ago because we were thinking of doing an IPGCE, but then
Right.
we never got around it only because, again, our PGCE is a general academic PGCE, which means that we will be able to not only incorporate the UK standards, but also international ones. So that's
Right.
why when you look at our content, you will see that, and our expertise as well, you can find that relevance to international standards as well, to
Yeah.
international curriculum, international cohort. And it's the same for our masters as well. A lot of our masters do talk about the global perspectives, the global standards, the global curriculum. And that's why it's still a PGCE, because it's applicable both in the UK, because we do have UK applicants. We work with school-centered initial teacher training providers. So students do their QTS with those providers, and they do our PGCE for their PGCE element. So we do have international and national partners that work with us as their PGCE provider. Which means that our PGCE is relevant both internationally and nationally, and that's why there's no need to call it an IPGCE. It's more standard, and it's more, I would say it's still a bit more recognized than an IPGCE.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there as well. Definitely. Yeah, Mary, I think that's all our frequently
Okay.
asked questions. Yeah,
Okay.
it's
Sounds
been a
good.
pleasure to speak to you, Mary. Thank you
You
very much
too.
for your
Absolutely.
interview today.
Anytime, Julian. I will send our pre-application pack. I know that, Julian, you have it and you circulate
Yeah.
that. But every year I add more content. This year I've added some video testimonials from our students, a few more
Great.
guides. So I know it's always interesting to see what other students have experienced before, you apply to our course or before you enroll to our course. So I want you to have that information as well. But if
That'd be
anything,
perfect.
do not hesitate to email me. Julian has my email address, but I'm always happy to share it as well. And yeah, I hope I can see a lot of you in September.
Perfect. Thank you very much,
Right.
Mary, for your
Thank
time.
you. Thanks,
Perfect.
Thanks, Julian.
Thank you,
Bye.
Mary.